Our first pick sees Crystal Palace play host to West Ham, and Crystal Palace they lost their last match away to Brentford. Despite having the ball for large portions of the game, two of the goals came against the run of play, and a bit of indecisiveness from Palace in the final third really did cost the Eagles. Although Palace may have won a single point from this match if it wasn't for a somewhat controversial decision to disallow Eze's free kick for the opening goal of the game. This result ended a six-game unbeaten streak for Crystal Palace at the end of last season, a record which stands since early April following their 4-2 loss to Manchester City. They play a West Ham side who also suffered defeat in their opener against Aston Villa. They fell behind after just 4 minutes thanks to Onana's powerful header off a corner. Paqueta equalised from the penalty spot, but Villa went on to win courtesy of Duran's 79th minute strike. West Ham did have a tough pre-season, winning just one of their five pre-season games, and it's hard to know what we're going to get from West Ham this season. And they're going to be integrating the new signings of Nick Fulkrug, Max Kilman, and Somerville from Leeds. It might take a minute or two for them to find their feet and get familiar with one another, but I think West Ham have the core of a decent side, which could finish mid-table or even push for those European spots. When we look at the head-to-head records, these sides played each other in the summer. Crystal Palace ran out 3-1 winners in that one, and looking further back, Palace are unbeaten in each of the last four competitive encounters as well. There's fair value here in playing West Ham for this one, however, I'm feeling goals a little bit more. When we look at Crystal Palace, they saw over 2.5 goals in each of their final three Premier League games last season, as well as the opening game of this season. Last year, Crystal Palace saw over 2.5 goals in 63% of their home games and an average of 3.3 goals per game in those matches. The away side West Ham, they saw over 2.5 goals in their final five Premier League games last year, as well as the opener for this season. They also topped the league for over 2.5 goals in the away games. 84% of the matches saw at least 3 goals scored, with an average of 3.95 goals per game. When we look at the head-to-head record, the pre-season game saw 4 goals in Palace's 3-1 win, but also looking further back, each of the last 7 and 9 of the last 10 encounters have seen at least 3 goals scored, with an average of 4.1 goals scored in the game. Both of these sides have a great individual and combined records, so it's a bit of a no-brainer for me. Over 2.5 goals is great value at about 4 to 5, so I'm taking over 2.5 goals for a full stake in our first bet of the episode.